Okay.
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
It is. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm getting audio. Okay.
We're just trying to get Rick so we can hear him. So just bear with us a moment.
I know that you can hear us, Rick.
No sweat.
So just hold on a sec here.
This is bizarre watching the time delay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Can everyone hear us okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
That's
Okay.
better.
It is streaming, so we are going to start soon. Yeah, you can go ahead, Chair, when you're ready.
Okay, we will call this meeting of Police Services Board at whatever time it is, 2 minutes after 10 to order. Madam Clerk, could you please read the land acknowledgement statement?
Yes, just a moment.
Just note that this meeting will be live streamed and recorded and available on the internet by visiting the county's website at www.thecounty.ca. This meeting will be conducted as a hybrid meeting with in-person and virtual participation in accordance with the county's procedural bylaw.
Okay. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that the County of Prince Edward is on traditional land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. We thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this land. Today, the County of Prince Edward is still home to many First Nations and Métis people, and we are grateful to have an opportunity to meet here, work, and continue stewardship on this land.
Thank you. Clerk, could I get you to turn the monitor on there so that I can see the Zoom? It's okay for right now, but okay. So I'll ask if anyone has any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Hearing none, I will take a motion to confirm the agenda. And anybody virtually, if you could just do it. Yeah.
Rick?
Seconded.
Steve.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah, in favor.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we'll take a motion to adopt the minutes of the Police Services Board minutes from the special meeting held March 21st, 2024 be adopted. Mover?
Rick,
I wasn't in attendance, so I can't second.
I can second it, Sarah.
Sarah, thank you. Any questions regarding those minutes?
no,
Hearing it, none, all in favor?
yeah,
The carries. We have no deputations today. Comments from the audience. Members of the public who wish to provide comments under Section 7 of the agenda, comments from the audience, can do so prior to the meeting by contacting clerks at pecounty.on.ca to register. Verbal, number 8 is verbal updates from board members. So anybody have anything that they'd like to update the board on? Go
yeah,
ahead.
Rick, it's Rick. John, I have a question. It's related to a Toronto Star article dated May 14th. The alleged boneheads NFT regarding one or two citizens of Prince Edward County regarding potential scams or fraud. And I'm just wondering if corporate O.P.P may be investigating or looking at this article.
Thank you.
It's a cryptocurrency thing, right?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, Rick. When I tried to open up the article, I was not able to access it because I didn't have a subscription or membership. So I
Yeah.
can't comment on it because I don't know what the details are at this point.
Now, is it possible to forward my concerns to corporate O.P.P regarding this? I don't know if it's considered white collar crime or not, but it is kind of concerning where individuals have to go and seek out their own lawyer and sue potential scammers, even though we're doing a great job regarding scamming issues for vulnerable people. This one it appears it's looking at millions of dollars. So I'm just wondering, if we could get a response from corporate O.P.P regarding this article.
Rick, if I may,
Yeah.
Because the detachment commander hasn't had a chance to look at it, and I as well was not able to because I don't have a subscription to the Globe. If we do have another meeting scheduled, we'll have a June meeting. Would it be okay if he brought any update back at that time? Maybe.
Yes. Definitely. It needs, I think, further thought and investigation. So definitely.
Okay.
No problem, Madam Chair. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else that's attending on Zoom have anything?
Nope.
I wanted to, on this agenda, it's not really an update, but I really wanted to thank our deputy clerk for the really detailed report regarding the changes that have occurred in the legislation, and also that our training, I know some of us have now completed it. Encourage any that are anticipating making an application for the new Police Services Board to proactively complete this training. I will be attending the OPSB, the spring conference in the first part of June, and they just released the agenda, so I think there'll be some more information that comes from that. And the recruitment efforts to repopulate the board under the new act is out right now, so we encourage people to Sorry, Madam Clerk, it's open until, yeah, to, yes. Yeah, so right now it's a Sunday, it closes Sunday evening, but anybody that is watching or any of the current board members that have an interest in sitting again on the board, I'd ask them to make sure that they get their application in. You can find that on the website.
May I just ask
Deputy
a question?
Clerk, could you just elaborate maybe exactly how they find it?
Yeah, do we want to wait till I touch on my report and I'll go through it all?
Sure, I just thought right now if people were watching,
Yeah.
just the link to how they can get there is fine.
Yeah, if you just go to thecounty.ca and then under the boards and committees page, directly to the Police Services Board, and it just has the recruitment page right there with the online form submission. There's also paper copies. You can reach out to me or clerks and we can provide those as well. There are some requirements, some mandatory ones, so just make sure that you're reading that webpage to make sure that your submission is complete.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Ferguson?
Yeah, just a couple of things. And this may come up during your report, Madam Deputy Clerk, and I concur with Janice about the thoroughness of the report you presented. But the closing for the applications is on Sunday of a long weekend, with the ability for people to drop applications off at Shire Hall as well, where obviously they can't be accepted because, well, it's the Sunday of a long weekend. But maybe we could go through that on your report when we get to your report. Secondarily, I asked Joy to circulate through Becky a piece of correspondence received from the Solicitor General late yesterday that I'm not sure if she has circulated yet, but concerning the new rules of legislation, so on and so forth. So if it hasn't been circulated already, it will be.
Through the chair to you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it will be circulated momentarily, as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to note, I think our recruitments typically do end on a Sunday, even though Friday obviously would be the last working day. But we'll see what happens with our recruitment, and if we need to extend, we will do so. Okay, I'll just take a motion that verbal updates from the board members be received.
Moved.
Mayor Ferguson.
Second.
Rikidowski, all in favor? And that carries. Okay, now the report from the Corporate and Legislative Services Department dated May 16th, 2024 regarding the transition from Police Services Board to O.P.P. Detachment Board. And this, obviously, the full report is in the agenda, but Madam Deputy Clerk, I think this might be a good time to go over that in a little more detail.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. So through the chair to board members, there's quite a few changes with the new legislation. I tried to identify as much as possible in this report, although there are quite a few items that could potentially be elaborated on. So to start at the recruitment piece, it is, I understand your concerns, Mr. Mayor, and like the chair mentioned, should we feel the need to extend the deadline, then we will for sure, but any interested applicants, we are encouraging to submit their applications in any way possible. We did do newspaper ads in the Wellington Times and the Picton Gazette. We've done PSA specific to the O.P.P. Detachment Board recruitment. There's also social media campaigns that have gone out trying to highlight this vacancy or these vacancies. We still do not have confirmation from the province with regards to the provincial appointee, so I do encourage any of our current ones to apply to this community representative position, just in the event that they are not successful with becoming a provincial appointee and do or are interested in remaining on the board. There are some ineligibility criteria, so just interested applicants, make sure you don't fall into any of those. There's also a competencies and attributes model profile that the OAPSB has suggested be completed with submissions of applications. So again, please review that and provide any information with regards to that profile. I also linked the code of conduct for board members, and I think it's important that that be reviewed prior to applying as well, just to make sure that there aren't any concerns there. The chair, Councillor Maynard, did touch on the training. I also linked the training aid from the Ministry of the Solicitor General in an effort to also inform interested applicants of that material so that they're aware well before applying. Yeah, are there any questions from board members with regards? One other thing I'll mention just before we move to questions actually is the draft board's rules and procedures and the terms of reference. I tried to encompass all the changes. However, I imagine there will be more. So once that is presented before council, it will show the track changes on the entire documents in full, just because there may potentially be pieces that were missed in those documents that were provided for today's agenda. And yeah, do any board members have any questions?
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. So, Becky, I think you did an excellent job not only reviewing and going through the rules and procedures and also the responsibility, all the above. The only concern that I have, and it's regarding terms of reference, and because the Police Services Board is supposed to be an oversight, and I wanted to focus on there's an area of the responsibility of the O.P.P. Detachment Board, number 5. And it states the board may take on additional initiatives as recommended or approved by council or the chief administrative office. I have some concerns about the wording of it, because it's supposed to be, the board is supposed to be a police oversight and independence from council, independence from political interference, and independence from the chief administration officer. And having this word, the wording actually implies, it actually diminishes, I think, the role and the responsibility of the Police Services Board as an independent oversight. I view it as just another committee. And I've always had concerns about the separation between municipal administration versus the independence and oversight of the Police Services Board. I'm throwing this out as open debate than anything else.
So Rick, do you happen to have the specific page on the agenda or the exact, are you looking at the board's rules and procedure or?
Yeah, the board's rules and procedures.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's responsibility of O.P.P. Detachment Board, and it's number 5.
Well, are you referring to page 98 under the terms of reference?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, terms
So
of
under
reference.
rules.
yes.
Well, I'm looking at page 98 right now, which is first page of the terms of reference.
So
this
it's
is
page 99.
page
Starts,
99.
yeah, it starts on 98 and then, okay.
Responsibilities of the O.P.P. Detachment Board.
Yep,
Okay, with 5 points. Okay,
yes.
got it. Okay.
I see this as a open discussion because I was part of this initiation, and I didn't think there was actually full debate about it with the board, and I saw this as more of an add-on, and I'm just throwing it out for what do future board members, think about this, because we're supposed to be totally independent and also accountable to council and to the citizens, of the county. So
is it 0.5 you're concerned
yes,
about, Rick?
yes,
So the concern is that additional things may be referred to the board by council or the CAO.
yes.
And I'm if you could explain the concern, that would be
Okay.
good. Just as background, we quite routinely refer matters to committees to subsequently come back and report to council to certainly have an impact on decision making.
I think, sorry, Your Worship, I think that what Rick is saying is this is really, this is a different type of, it's not really a committee, it's a somewhat a quasi-independent board. But
Yeah.
I'll let you respond, Rick, but I think these are the sort of things because these things are not really fully fleshed out yet, and there will be more information to come. But I'll let you continue, Rick, and then perhaps our deputy clerk might elaborate on what on the comment that I just made. Go ahead, Rick.
So this board has taken on additional initiatives. So it would be like the community safety well-being plan. So that'll be one. And now that's kind of complicated because it involves the municipality taking full responsibility for that plan. But the Police Services Board has done it on behalf of the municipality. I have no problems about that. What I do have problems with is when a person who's not really appointed to the Police Services Board and is making either suggestions or because the board is supposed to be totally independent. And so, and you don't want to be influenced by municipality staff. So, and if you need municipality staff guidance, then the board should be asking for it. So maybe I'm not clear, but it's never sat well with me. But like I said, maybe it's my issue than anybody else's issue.
Recognize your concerns. Just note that under the finance part of that, right, that the board has the right to, we will establish an annual budget to be reviewed by council, and I don't think we've ever seen it. I mean, so that then goes to council, but expecting that it'll be approved, and we do have the right to take it to arbitration if for some
That's right.
reason the council were not to approve our budget. So we do have autonomy that is far more reaching than any of our other committees or boards. Do you have anything that you'd like to add, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, with the finances, I've been, we've been very lucky in the county that the council has always approved a generous budget for our board. That's not the issue. It's other issues that may kind of come up, but like I said, maybe I'm just not that clear.
If I could add something here, would if I can paraphrase, is your concern that the board may be handed certain assignments without any ability to disagree or reject them? And if that's the case, would a simple change in language in that clause be something like the board may take an additional initiatives as recommended or approved by council or the chief administrative officer, approved by the board, or the board has the option to take on additional initiatives as recommended or approved by council? In other words, the board has the decision-making ability to say yay or nay to what may be recommended to them by council or the CAO.
You know what? That's perfect. That's exactly. It gives the board the
option.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah, so I'll also note that under that thing, it does use the word may, so that to me means it is at the discretion of the board if they were to take on additional initiatives, but we can maybe elaborate a little bit further, right, to beef up that clause.
Yeah, through the chair, that's the intention of this report is, so these suggestions that you're recommending, Rick, with Mr. Mayor's assistance in the wording, we can review that and potentially make those amendments to those documents.
Yeah, just throw the word option in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Or at the discretion of the board.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was probably the intention of the word may, but that may not be clear enough, and maybe some wording that it's at the initiative of the board if they want to take on additional activities as opposed to council opposing additional activities. Is that
sounds perfect? Yep.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything further in that particular document?
Becky, I've got, if I could, sorry, Madam Chair.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Under the, I've got one question about let me find it here. The qualifications or disqualifications, I suppose. This would be on page 10 of the report. Item 4, which refers to, and this is people who, ineligibility. Any person employed by the municipality, policed by our beloved detachment. What's the definition of an employee?
Bear with me, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to just bring up the legislation and see if I can see that definition in the act.
Steve, that's an excellent question because it can rule, depending on the interpretation, it can rule out, I think, many qualified people in the county.
Well, it could also rule out elected officials,
Ah,
depending on the
Well-
definition of employee.
Yes,
'Cause we're
however,
paid.
in the act, it specifically says elected officials, but we do have, we have, I think, like, we have volunteers that do receive a stipend for their services, but
Yep.
that is something, because I brought this up actually with the deputy clerk, because, I mean, that doesn't, I don't know, that may take a little extra, we might have to work on that, because, say, you're a volunteer that's getting a stipend, that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't preclude you from running for council, and obviously you can't be a member of staff and run for council. So, and these are things that we may, I mean, this document is really from the province's
I know.
background
and this
is, yeah, but
this
it's a
is
valid
nitpicking.
concern.
But I've got a T4 that puts employee name, and my name's underneath it, and employer name, Prince Edward County.
Right.
Yeah, and through the chair to you, Mr. Mayor, it might be best to wait until I get clarification from
Yeah.
the ministry, just because there are some other conditions with regards to that eligibility that we just want to make sure we have compliance with that act. So I might just withhold
Yeah.
on finding you the exact definition until I get
No,
confirmation.
don't worry about it now. I'm just raising the point.
Yeah, no, that's,
Thank you.
it's valid, because now there's some, restrictions on past O.P.P office, there are some other restrictions, and like I said, this is a pretty new piece of legislative guidance, so we will endeavor to get those questions answered. And I've got them on my list for the conference in June as well. And we may even, just to note, and I should have brought it up in our, when we were talking about other events, we also have there's also the Regional Police Services Board meeting in Belleville on the 14th of June. So we'll see, we may even get some further updates there, or be able to bounce it off and see what other people are doing. Okay. Any further questions or comments on this report? Just knowing that this is a work in progress.
Yeah, and to that point, Madam Chair, if any board members after the meeting want to send me an email if there's anything that they thought of after the fact, definitely don't hesitate, because like Councillor Maynard mentioned, it is a work in progress. So
yeah,
we value your input.
No, it's very good, Becky.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll take a mover and seconder that the Police Services Board receive report CLS 12, 2024 for information, and that the board's discussion regarding report CLS 12, 2024 be received.
yeah,
move.
Rick. Yeah.
Rick and Mayor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah, you're just a little tiny box for me. So if you'll have to speak up over top of the boys if I could.
No worries. I'm
Okay.
happy to let them have them.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Yep.
And that carries. Okay, we'll move on to the review of the operational budget. Anybody have any questions, concerns?
No. Yeah, yeah. I have a question, and the question is to John Hatch. The board has approved funds for Lunch and Learn, and I'm just wondering where that is at now. And I'm wondering if that money isn't going to be used shortly, my biggest fear is that maybe next year's budget, the new board may decide not to sponsor it. So I'm just wondering where the status is right now for Lunch and Learn.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. So in terms of the Lunch and Learn, as you know, since COVID, we have not had the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Now that things have opened back up and we're getting back to in person, I think that this is something that we can definitely look at. I think from a board's perspective, I think once the board is fully up and running, that a decision be made. It's very easy to start to plan these. I do have some engaged officers at the detachment. Remember back in the day, Ann McIntosh was the spearhead for all of these, but the benefits are real. On that note, we do have plans for a family night this fall. The date has been booked, the speakers have been booked, and at some point, and I was going to assume next meeting that I would be making the same request for funds. So the Lunch and Learns and the family night are under the same umbrella, and it's to do with the wellness of our officers. So for sure, if this is on the table, I can start to spearhead this at the detachment level, and in partnership with our firefighter friends and our EMS, we could get that going possibly in the fall again with some relevant speakers. So thank you for bringing that forward. If with the board's support and permission, I definitely think that this is something that we can do.
And just further to that, I did send an email to Aaron Miller, who was the one that made the request, and he responded that they're still working on it. There's nothing concrete at this point, so we'll hold that budget line. We're kind of in the position right now until the board is the board is reconstituted that we won't be making any financial decisions. But this one has already been approved. So if that happens in the fall or over the summer sometime, and then once we have reconstituted, then we will then we can consider other items. I believe that comes out of our projects and programs budget, so we can see that in the budget that now this was ending in April, and that there is still plenty of budget remaining in that line item. So we'll deal with that. Hopefully in June, if we do not have a new board constituted at that time, it likely might not happen until September, or there is the possibility, probably a pretty strong possibility, that we will call a meeting shortly after the board is constituted. Would be my hope, right? If we can't really meet in June.
Yeah, exactly. Through the chair to board members, if for any reason that June meeting we aren't able to make it official and be able to have the ability to approve these, I imagine we would call a special so that we can still action those items as per the detachment commander's request.
Yeah.
I have a question. So say hypothetically, there's no new board members in June, but you have the current people on board. If the current members took the first step of the governance e-learning, would that constitute them being eligible to make some decisions, or it's only now the new board that can make that decision?
My understanding of the legislation, Rick, it's pretty clear that that we cannot make. I mean, although we can meet to have these general discussions, that any financial or any decisions that would have any major outcomes from them will not be allowed. So that's why we're hoping that people get them in, and we will get the board reconstituted as soon as we can.
So
Yes.
the reason I'm a little confused because when I was talking to Graham White, he indicated to me, and maybe I'm wrong, that the board may make some financial decisions, but not other decisions. And I'm wondering if Becky could investigate and clarify, if the old board members can make those decisions or not.
Through the chair to you, Rick, I do see your point. However, essentially this board is currently dissolved, and
Yeah.
the intention of this meeting is to kind of gather that information and have
Okay.
past board members review. I don't know how comfortable board members would feel with making any kind of decision making that's potentially not legislated, nor do they potentially have the ability to do so. So I can definitely investigate further, Rick, for sure. However, I kind of stand by the chair's point that hopefully everything in June is in place. If not, let's call a special meeting once the board is official so that we can make sure that everything is legal.
And like any of the minor expenditures, most now can likely wait. If we happen to have an emergency, then we'll go knocking on the Solicitor General's door to get some clarification, because we are not in this boat alone. In fact, we are probably farther ahead than a lot of the new detachment boards or municipal board are. So, yeah. Don't forget, they dropped this information on us, 15 minutes before closing on the end of the month. So, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And just for everyone's awareness, we are well ahead of the game. The family night has been booked for October 3rd. At the Highline Hall. I already have the speakers reserved. The focus is going to be on PTSD, which we're all aware of, but also PTG, which post-traumatic growth. We have a speaker, Pat Finnegan, who is going to speak to that. And apparently, they already had a presentation in Upper Ottawa Valley last month, and it was very well received. And so I'm just taking their template. So with the board's approval and permission, we can generate the funds. It's just a matter of when I will be able to ask for that money to do the exact same thing as we did last year, which was very well received.
Right.
But it's already been planned. Everything's ready to go. We just need to get the money and get the posters and the invitations out.
Yeah, and I think we should have sufficient time to
I agree.
do that if we
Thank you.
if we can. We'll find some way to get this. Hopefully, it's not a July meeting, but it could be. Okay, so if I'll take a mover and seconder that the board's discussion on the operating budget be received.
Rick?
So moved.
Sarah? Rick?
Rick?
All in favor?
Yeah.
That carries. Okay, we will now have the verbal report from our detachment commander related to the Part 7 complaints in Section 89 secondary activities of the Ontario Community Safety and Policing Act.
Yes, I'm very pleased to report that so far this year, we've had 0 complaints from anybody, which is excellent, which speaks to the professionalism of our officers. And in terms of the secondary employment, was that in there? We didn't have anybody come forward with any secondary employment notices since the beginning of January.
Any questions from the board members? Okay, we'll take a mover and seconder that the verbal report of the detachment commander related to Part 7 complaints in Section 89 secondary activities of the Ontario Community Safety and Policing Act be received.
So moved.
Mayor and Sarah.
Rick? Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Yep.
And that carries. Okay, now we'll move on to the Detachments Police Service Board report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I can just direct everybody's attention to, it was the violent crime section on the report. And if you take a look under the murder and attempted murder categories, there's a number 1 there. And I know for a fact that there was not a murder or an attempted murder in Prince Edward County. And so when I reached out to General Headquarters, I found out I was not the only detachment commander that notified this. So what ended up happening was there was a homicide in Prince Edward County in 1991, and they are adding this particular incident to our records management system, which is RMS. I have a very lengthy email here from somebody at General Headquarters apologizing for the way that it was reported, but our Police Services Board is not the only one that has this discrepancy. We're just going to have to live with it for now. There's no way that they can undo it, but they were adding this information for, I don't want to say a cold case because it's already been done, but they are adding these old homicides to our records management system in order to keep track of this data over the course of the last 30 and 40 years. So unfortunately, it's going to show up here, but I can happily report that there was not a murder investigation or an attempted murder in Prince Edward County. So
is there any way that we can make a note, like I know that the actual report from the records management system can't be changed, but can we, in conjunction with this, can we make some kind of a footnote?
I would love to, and I think I'm going to take your request, Madam Chair, and send it to General Headquarters to say, what are we doing about this? Because in my opinion, this really does affect our statistics, and the average person who goes online and looks at this report is going to wonder why. So this
a simple footnote would help.
Well, a simple footnote would be yes, and we will take a look at that, but I will definitely follow that up.
This refers to a 33-year-old case?
Yes, well, even long 1991s or whatever the math is with regards to that. Yes, and
33 years.
I thought that it would be as simple as changing the reported date, but I have an email here. It's about 4 pages long from General Headquarters, and apparently our detachment is not the only one that is dealing with this, but I do want to follow this up because I think it does put a little bit of a black mark on Prince Edward County.
Just for clarification, John, if I may, Madam Chair, you've got a murder and you've got an attempted murder. Cases added in 2024. Are these the same case or 2 separate incidents?
It's the same incident dating back to 1991. But it was
attempted murder and then obviously someone being successful.
That's how I read it as well. So it's a bit of a gray area. I did want to bring it to your attention, but based on your question, Madam Chair, I'm going to email these people, these fine folks at General Headquarters to follow this up because it doesn't seem right that it is showing up on our report that we had a murder and an attempted murder from something that happened over 30 years ago.
Anything further? I just, maybe when you're following up on that, if you could ask if at least the members of the Police Services Board, so that because this is now going to be public, right? If we get a question that if we could have a copy of either that correspondence or a redacted version of that correspondence so that we have the correct information.
I agree, certainly.
Okay, so we will take, oh, sorry, you're not finished.
And that's fine. And just a very quick overview in terms of the other violent crime. If you take a look, we are trending in the right direction in violent crime and property crime. I had a look at the sexual assault incidents. Of the 10 that have been reported so far this year, 5 of them were at long-term care facilities. And we've discussed this before with people with dementia. Yep. As per their policy, they need to report it. Of the 10 that were reported to the Prince Edward County O.P.P, only 3 resulted in charges. So we're doing okay there. In terms of the assaults, as part of the community safety and well-being plan, I had a look at our domestic violence statistics, and we are trending in the right direction in terms of the numbers that have been reported and the charges. And I will be sharing that information with Sarah Harvey, which can be distributed to the other committee members of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. But we are down anywhere between 10 and 14% in those categories, which is good. If I can just point to property crime, to have 2 reported break and enters in the first 3 months is, in my opinion, unheard of. We used to get 60 and 70 break and enters a year. Right now we're on pace for about a dozen. I give credit to our community street crime unit who are following up with any of those property crimes. And if you take a look at our fraud, now our numbers have gone down, but we had a victim recently who lost nearly $100,000. So this goes back to your point, Rick, in terms of the fraud investigations. They are still out there. The scammers are getting braver and trickier. And through our communication with the O.P.P. and Community Care for Seniors and the municipality, we just need to continue to remind people about these scams, especially with Bitcoin, which seems to be very hot right now. But as a very general overview, if you take a look at our statistics for our first 3 months for this year, we're doing really, really well. And then just lastly, with regards to the motor vehicle collisions by type, knock on wood, you'll notice zeros for fatality. So I pointed out in one of our last meetings that in 2023, it was the first year since I've been detachment commander that we did not have a motor vehicle collision fatality, which is incredible. And knock on wood, so far, well, to today's date, we still haven't had one. So that is phenomenal. In terms of our PI, personal injury collisions, you notice we went up just by 1 from 3 to 4. I had a look at the PIs. Your worship, you'll be happy to know none of them happened at the intersection at 62 and County Road 1. That's always a target that I keep looking at. Of the PIs, they were all relatively minor except for one, where a 49-year-old male suffered a seizure and he drove his vehicle into a tree. But that was it. There's really not much that the police can do to prevent that type of collision. So overall, from a policing perspective, if you take a look at our numbers, and we had this conversation just the other day, Madam Chair, that policing-wise, we are doing very well. And I give the credit to our officers that are out there every day.
Okay.
Any questions?
I just wanted to comment, and I see it as kind of kudos. I was stopped by the police to do a mandatory breathalyzer. And so there's, I'm assuming there's the new act that came out in 2018. So I was pretty happy with that in terms of prevention. Did you want to comment on that, John?
Certainly, Rick. And I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen to the radio show that I did with Lynn Pickering a couple of weeks ago, but we discussed this mandatory alcohol screening. And so before the legislation came in, an officer needed to have reasonable suspicion that there was alcohol in the person's body. So whether it was an empty beer can in the car or the odor of an alcoholic beverage, we don't need that anymore. So with this MAS at a ride program, officers can pull over anybody. It could be the 3rd car, 6th car, 10th car, and just randomly select drivers to provide a sample into the roadside screening device. And as a result, our impaired driving charges have gone through the roof. Last year we had 89. So far this year, I believe we're at 19. But I think it gives our officers a great tool to keep the highway safe. And we keep promoting, you do not need to drink and drive, and there's no reason for it. So we will be out day and night looking for these people that choose, because it is a choice to drive impaired.
Yeah.
Anything further? I just, on the note, this is traffic safety week?
Well, this is Canada Road Safety Week.
Right,
yes,
Road Safety Week.
So yeah, we have officers out every day. And really every day should be Canada Road Safety Week, but this is one of these provincial traffic campaigns that is right across the country, and our officers are out there doing special enforcement in terms of seatbelts, the big four, distracted driving, aggressive driving, and impaired driving. So you might get stopped again, Rick, if you're going from A to B out there, so just be careful.
Yeah, I know.
And just
No,
back,
I was pretty impressed with this type of enforcement. Hopefully, I don't know if it's going to assist with the people who have severe addiction issues, but there was a story from your detachment that I was really impressed with. Is it possible when somebody's charged with alcohol or drug offense that a referral, a suggestion or a referral to be made on behalf of the accused for assistance regarding reduction of alcohol? Like, I see it as both I don't know if lawyers would like this or not, but if you get charged, why not also make a referral in terms of?
We do that, believe it or not. I have a great story, and I
Yeah.
won't use any names, about an officer that charged it was a female driver, and she
Yeah,
had alcohol use disorder, and he had a conversation with her, and I actually still have the letter that she wrote to that officer, and it was after that particular charge that she did attend treatment, and she's been sober for X number of years now. But I agree with you, Rick. We're not just there to be the heavy hand. We're there to help people as well. And the services are there, and if we can point them in the right direction, I think that's part of our duties as well.
yeah, it just makes a lot of sense.
just something that came up in one of the community safety wellbeing meetings was the fraud. And when you report the numbers, maybe if you could just clarify, that's the numbers that are reported, not the actual number of frauds that occur. Is that correct?
So the number is the number of times that somebody has called to report a particular fraud. And what I say in these meetings is we want people to call and report what kind of frauds are they being targeted with, what are the trends. So we don't mind the numbers going up. What we want to reduce the victimization. And so what I did for last year's numbers was I think we had 160 some reports of fraud, but we only had 13 victims. So that the good news is that people are calling us to let us know what the frauds are happening or how they're being targeted, whether it's a CRA, whether it's a grandparent scam, whether it's a Bitcoin scam. But when we drill down and we look at every particular incident, what we want to do is reduce the victims. And so just recently, within the last month, in partnership with 99.3 County FM, Community Care for Seniors, Sergeant Aaron Bucci did a presentation at the Wellings with regards to our local businesses, and it was very well received. And so I think from a policing perspective, it's incumbent upon us to educate the public, to let them know that these scams are out there. And if they do get a call or somebody at their door, to call us, and we will investigate it, but we want to keep track of what trends are happening. And then through Aaron Miller, our CSO, we will put out that messaging, whether it's through a Friday fraud talks and that type of thing.
Sorry, my mic's off. Sorry, that we'll take the motion that the Detachment Board's Detachments Police Services Board report to Prince Edward County be received. Mover?
So moved.
Mayor?
So moved.
Rick?
Rick, all in favor? And that carries. Okay, so I think that, is there any other business that anyone has that's arisen today? So we will, I'll take the motion to adjourn, and we will not, we've got set here as June 20th for the next meeting, but if everybody just wants to monitor their emails, and we'll see whether that's will be a firm date or not. Motion to adjourn.
Rick,
So move.
Rick
Yeah.
and Mayor Ferguson, that this meeting now adjourn at 11 a.m.
Okay.
All in favor?
good. Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting.
Thanks.
Okay.